Well, your curmudgeon wants to talk about education. All of these fluff-headed ding-dings out there, every time there's any kind of social problem comes to the fore, we got to educate people. Let's deal with gun violence by educating people. Let's deal with that black lives are not mattering enough to the cops. We got to educate people. We got climate change. Well, we got to educate people. And you know what? The hot tub curmudgeon wants to call bullshit on that. And here is the reason. Let's do a little cross section of the plebiscite, the people that we have allowed to vote. Now, first off, about 4% of those folks are sociopaths. That means about one kid in a classroom is a sociopath. I knew a couple of them when I was in grade school. I know they were. Anyway, so you got to ask yourself, how much education would it take to get a sociopath to quit driving his great big 5 miles per gallon pickup with the 18-inch big wheels? There is no amount of education that can cause a sociopath to give a shit. All right. Then your next group are your schizoid type thinkers. These are the folks who buy the books at the grocery store on how to pick lottery numbers. I don't think it ever occurred to me that I might win the lottery by buying one of those little books. What's wrong with my way of thinking that I don't even buy those books? These are the folks who buy the National Enquirer. These are the folks who sign on for QAnon and all these other conspiracy theories. So, have you thought about how much education it would take to get a schizoid type thinker to stop at any given moment and ask himself, hey, is this my screwed up thinking that's making this decision? Or, could I come at a more scientific, rational approach? Now, I think the movie is A Beautiful Mind, and the guy finally catches on to that he's schizophrenic. So there's this scene where he comes out of a classroom, and there's a guy there who wants to talk to him about the Nobel Prize. So the professor grabs one of his students and says, is there really a man standing here talking to me about the Nobel Prize? Think about how much education it would take for all of these schizoid type thinkers, very personalized education, to get them to slow down at any given moment and say, hey, is this logical? Is this scientific? Does this actually make sense? Or am I making crap up? All right. Then your next big chunk of the plebiscite are your evangelicals. Education? No, they're not going to let you educate them or their children especially. In fact, they take over the schools to make sure you do not educate their children. God is telling the preacher the truth, and the preacher's telling them the truth. All this crap about gun violence and Second Amendment and climate change and discrimination, etc. I mean, they let black people come to church. They're not discriminating. So they see things very differently than you, and they are not going to let you educate them out of it. All right. Then you figure that if the average IQ is 100, that means that half of the population has an IQ of less than 100. And let's be generous and suggest that 20% of the plebiscite has an IQ of less than 100. I mean, we know who they voted for. There's a scary thought. Now, if you're going to try and educate them, they don't want to be educated about climate change and the Second Amendment. They want to be educated about how to get a commercial driver's license, how to weld, how to do all kinds of job skills and get a better job. They're not going to waste time on your stupid education stuff. And then there's just a huge portion of the plebiscite that has been ignorant and proud of it for generations. And they're very suspicious of you college-educated fluffheads. They don't give it. You cannot educate them. So here's what it boils down to. This universal suffrage that we have fought so hard to obtain gives us what we've got. So, the next time you see some classroom all shot up, all those little kids shot, well, that's the country we chose. We chose this. And the next, very soon now, we're going to melt the tundra. When we melt the permafrost and release all that methane gas that's trapped in the permafrost, when that methane gas gets up in the universe, the atmosphere, it's over, folks. There's no turning back. So, in a few years, in December, you're in your swimsuit in northern Canada, and you're laying out in the sun, and you know that your kids have no future whatsoever. You want to celebrate this because that is what you fought hard to get, was universal suffrage for all these sociopaths and evangelicals to be able to vote for your future. So, the next time somebody shoots up a workplace, kills 8 people, you want to say to yourself, hey, this is as good as it gets. This is what we wanted. It don't get any better than what we got right now. And stop talking about education. Save your breath.